Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Riza Dwi Fauziah. My student ID is 122. Now I will explain about alternative in assessment and the point about journals, conference, and interviews and observation. Journals. Journals are too free a form to be assessed accurately. With so much potential variability, it is difficult to set up criteria for evaluation. So, it is important to turn the advantage and potential drawbacks of journal into positive general steps and guidelines for using journal as assessment instrument. The following steps are not coincidentally parallel to those cited above for portfolio development. 1. Sensitively introduce students to the concept of journal writing. 2. State the objective of the journals. 3. Give guidelines on what kinds of the topic to include. 4. Carefully specify the criteria for assessing or grading journals. 5. Provide optimal feedback in your responses. 6. Design appropriate time frames and schedule for review. 7. Provide informative feedback giving final comment. MC Namara recommend 3 different kinds of feedback to journals. 1. Cheerleading feedback, in which you celebrate success with the student or encourage them to persevere solve difficulties. 2. Instructional feedback, in which you suggest strategy or materials, suggest way to fine-tune strategy use, or instruct students in their writing. 3. Really check feedback, in which you help the student set more realistic expectations for their language abilities. The ultimate purpose of responding to student journal entries is responding to journal is very personal matter, attending to the objective for writing the journal and its specific direction for an entry will focus those response appropriately. Conference and interviews. Conference are not limited to draft of written work. The list of possible functions and subject matter for conferencing is substantial. 1. Commenting on draft of essays and reports. 2. Reviewing portfolios. 3. Responding to journals. 4. Advising on a student's plan for an oral presentation. 5. Assessing a proposal for a project. 6. Giving feedback and the result of performance on a text. 7. Clarifying understanding of a reading. 8. Exploring strategies-based options for enhancement or comprehension. 9. Focusing on aspect of oral production. 10. Assessing general progress in a course. Genus and answers override a number of generic kinds of questions that might be useful to pose in a conference. What did you like about this work? Why do you think you did well? How does it show improvement from previous work? Can you show me the lag to improve? What strategy did you use to figure out the meaning of words you could not understand? Discussing of alternative in assessment usually encompasses one specialist kind of conference and interviews. This term is intended to denote a context in which a teacher interviews a student for a designated assessment purpose, or assess the student oral production, ascertains a student needs before designing a course of curriculums, seek to discover student learning style and preference, ask a student to assess his or her own performance, requires an evaluation of a course. The following guidelines may be to generalize principles for conducting interviews frame the question efficiently. Offer an initial atmosphere of warmth and anxiety lowering. Begin with relatively simple question. Continue with level check and probe question. Frame question simply and directly. Focus on only on factor for each question. Be prepared to repeat or frame questions that are not understood. Wind down with friendly and reassuring closing comments. Observation. In order to carry out classroom observation, it is of course important to take the following steps. 1. Determine the specific objectives of the observation. 2. Decide how many students will be observed at one time. 3. Set up the logistic for making unnoticed observations. 4. Design a system for regarding observed performance. 5. Don't overestimate the number of different elements you can observe at one time. Keep them very limited. 6. Plan how many observations you will make. 7. Determine specifically know how you will use the result. This is my explanation about journals, conference and interview, and observation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.